Hello guys, it's me vKlifto bringing you a guide to Yasuo. I gotta start off by saying that I'm not the best Yasuo player. After getting requested to do it from a friend, I decided to play a few games to record a little bit. After playing a little bit, I got a lot better at him. I have a few, for this gameplay, it is one full game, and then I show a few other cool clips that I get. So I hope you enjoy the video. Let's start off with his passive. His passive is called Way of the Wanderer. It has two parts to it. Part one, it doubles the crit chance that you have. So if you build any items or runes and masteries, that gives you 50%. I mean, that's the easiest number to remember. If you get 50% of critical chance, you will have 100% critical chance. This is very core part of his ability. So a lot of people used to build only static Shiv and Infinity Edge, and you would have 100% critical chance. Now that they've changed the numbers on how much Infinity Edge has, you only get now 90% crit chance. So a lot of players that main him will start off with getting will get 5% in their runes to get the extra 10% so that you will have 100% after you get Static Shiv and Infinity Edge. I personally don't do it. I don't play him enough to buy I mean, I could buy the runes. Don't get me wrong. I just don't play him enough to, I guess, I hate to say try hard, to be that big of a tryhard, but I don't end up buying I don't end up getting those runes. You can look up a build and it'll show you those, but I build an extra item so that it would be bonus anyway, no matter what. So, the second part of his abilities is he doesn't use mana or energy, so he is a cooldown champion. But if he walks around, he builds up a shield which will block incoming damage from auto attacks from minions or from champions or monsters. It will not activate from minions. It will block. It's like a mini spell shield, but will also block auto attacks. In theory, the more you walk, the faster you are, the more you can generate, because you can walk a little bit more. You'll generate your shield quicker, allowing you to build it up. That's very good for trades. Late game, early game, it's very good for. I mean, later I'll explain a combo that I like doing that will pretty much negate almost all damage that comes in. But it's very good at dodge to keep you in lane, keeps you very strong. The first point that you would put a point into is your Q, which is your Steel Tempest. It's a skill shot auto attack. So wherever you aim will be wherever you aim is where you'll thrust your sword forward in that direction. So it is a skill shot, but it is an auto attack, so it's kind of confusing. It does a lot of damage. If you don't know, it scales off of attacks. I mean, it doesn't lower the cooldown by cooldown reduction. The way to reduce its cooldown is to build attack speed. It will cap off at a certain attack speed, giving you a 1.3 second cooldown, but you have to get to a certain point. It's not fully maxed out. Like, it used to be where you could get it to 0.98 seconds, so you could just keep using this ability constantly. But they nerfed it down, so now it only scales down by attack speed instead of cooldown reduction. The second part to this is if you hit 2 successfully in a row, you will be able to, you get this ring around you, and you will shoot a skill shot of a tornado in the direction you're aiming. This will knock people up, and this is very important for your ultimate later. It's a very good harassing tool in the early game. This is why you would put a point into it early. You would queue a couple minions, and then you will throw your little tornado out. Your next ability you would put a point into is your E, which is your sweeping blade. You dash through a enemy, if that's a champion, that can also be a monster, champion, or a minion. You can't dash through the same enemy in the early game. Early levels, it's only 10 seconds. You can't dash through 10 seconds, but it is lowered down later, and it will deal. You'll be able to dash to the same person after 6 seconds. So you theoretically, in a team fight, if it lasts a little bit longer, you can dash through the same enemy twice. It does more damage the more times you dash, after at the third time you dash through a champion, it will do a 50% bonus damage. It's not gonna be too big, but it's still worth knowing. A cool combo that if you do is if you dash while you use your Q, if you dash and then use your Q ability, at the end of the dash you'll spin around in circles, which will deal area of effect damage. It will also, if you have your tornado, it will actually do a knock-up in the 360 direction, or in the circular direction. That allows you to deal a little bit area of effect damage and other things like that. It will get multiple knock-ups. Just a cool thing to know if you are... just a cool thing to know. But other than that, that's pretty much it. Your W is your third ability you want to put a point into, which is your wind wall. It will block any projectiles, so anything thrown or shot at it. It won't block a few things like Braum ults, other things like that. Fizz, it won't block... you will block the fish that comes. It will stop where it hits the wall. But if you walk over your wall, when the fish comes back up, it won't block any ground abilities. It will... Another strange one that you may think it would block is Thresh's auto attacks, but it is technically a melee kind of like attack. It is a long range melee attack, but it will not block it. It will go through. But you just kind of got to know what will go in and what will not through, I guess, practice, or you can look up other videos to see what does or does not go through. So after that, once you get level 3 is pretty much the easiest way you can harass people, because what you can do is you will dash through a ranged champion, you will Q the enemy, and then you can dash to the champion, Q him again, and then while you're walking away, your shield will generally block the first ability, and then you can throw up your wind wall to block up the second ability. One thing I forgot to tell you is that your wind wall, I find if you're like running away and you want to shoot it behind you, a lot of times there is a delay, and with that delay, there's also another thing is if you kind of want to shoot it real quick and you want to keep moving, a lot of times I've aimed behind me but then like clicked in front of me right afterwards to be able to keep walking, and since that delay, it will shoot like the wind wall in front of you. So it is faster to actually shoot the throw the wind wall in the way you're looking. So if there's some ult or something coming through that you want to block, turning around real quick and looking at it may be a little bit quicker than and safer and more precise of aiming your shield. That's just a quick tip that I learned. So your ultimate is a point you want to get into at 6, 11, and 16, which is kind of has an interesting interaction. Yasuo cannot ult anytime he wants. He has to ult when a enemy is knocked up or displaced, meaning you can't just, you won't automatically be able to ult. Yasuo will need a knock up, so that's why once you get your tornado with your Q, you will be able to knock somebody up to allow you to ultimate. Other people can knock up for you, which is very useful. I will talk about that later. But you have to knock him. He will instantly jump to the enemy that is knocked up, and he will slam him to the ground, and then he will deal some damage. But what I think is the cool part about the second part about it is after he does it, he gets 50% bonus armor penetration. So for 15 seconds, he's pretty much like an anti-tank afterwards, after he ults. So very good to, it does a decent amount of damage to when you hit an enemy champion. It will also deal pretty good of damage if you afterwards. So that's what kind of makes him strong. And once you get 100% crit chance, you're going through all that armor, and you are going through you are critically striking a lot of damage. You will, after you ult at like full build, you can easily 3-shot any carries with your auto attacks because you're just that strong. So once you do that, so with all that said, I guess I'm going to move over to his item builds. There are 2 builds that I like. There is the mid lane assassin, and then there is the top lane not tank, but he's a little bit tankier, a little more independent than the assassin. In the assassin build, you would start off with a Dorn's Blade, health pot, and a trinket. This is the starting build for both builds, so just remember that. And then you would start off, the first item you would want to build is the Static Shiv. This helps him a lot with giving him attack speed, which will quicken his Q ability. It'll give him movement speed to help him generate his shield. It'll give him a lot of crit chance so that his auto attacks are critting more often, or really often. And then, so, and all of that, it really helps him out. It helps him farm because it gives you that extra damage to minions around him. Very good. And then the second item you want to build to give you pretty much almost max critical chance, and if you had the runes and masteries, you would have max critical chance, is the Infinity Edge. Infinity Edge will also help your auto attacks because you will deal 250% damage to crits instead of only the 200%. So that's very helpful. That's where pretty much a bunch of your core damage is. The next item I build, which I don't know how many people actually build this, but I like building it, is the Ghostblade, Youmuu's Ghostblade. This helps him a lot because it gives him that movement. It gives him movement speed. It gives him attack speed. It gives him, the item also gives you armor penetration, so it'll help him once he ults. Also, this will help him chase and help him run away. Take down turrets. This item is very good on him. I like it a lot. This is one of my core items. Not a lot of people build it on him. They'd rather just have the 100% crit and build other things. But this, I find, is a lot more useful. And because I get rid of boots at the end, just a little sneak peek to my build. But that you won't really need the boots. But once you have that item, you really won't need the boots. The next item you want to get is a Ghostblade. Or not Ghostblade. I just said Ghostblade. I want a Bloodthirster. You want a Bloodthirster. Give you the health regen. You're going to be in the middle of the fight. You want to be able to reheal a little bit of the damage. Gives you the shield so that you have another shield. And then, so that's it gives you the bonus damage. It will give you, once you get that, you pretty much have all your damage. But, there's more. Then you get the last whisper. And then once you ult, then you're almost doing true damage to them. Once your auto attacks then become like 3 shots to people, especially when you ult. Then you're doing like to tanks. You're doing so much extra damage with the last whisper, but it is key to use it. The last item I think you will get is a Guardian Angel. So you see that there is no boots, but when I get boots, I get the boots right after I get the Infinity Edge and Static Shiv to help build the shield so I can stay in lane and build the shield up a lot easier. But in the end, I will sell it to get the Guardian Angel to be able to survive team fights, to be able to survive, because once you jump in, you are pretty much the first target they attack and you will die. So having that second life will allow you to clean up a team fight. The second build that I build is a little bit more tankier, probably more toward the top lane tanky build. The first item that you want to build is, you get your starting items, but then the first item you want to build is the Blade of the Rune King, which will give you health, which will deal a lot of damage to tanks, and since you're probably going to go against a tankier champion up in the top lane, having that extra, having that damage is pretty good. Then you would probably want to get a Last Whisper to be able to, once you ult, to be able to do a lot of damage, pretty much penetrate all the armor and all. You'll deal a lot of the extra damage. Then what you would build is a Black Cleaver, get you through a little bit more of that armor. It gives you some health, armor penetration. So it's a very nice item. Then you want to start building even more tanky with building a Spirit Visage and a Randuin's Omen. And finishing off your build with a Guardian Angel. You won't need boots because you will be jumping to people. You'll have your dash. You are a tank, so you can be a little bit slower. I think it would deal plenty of damage. And then with all that, you're still a tank, so you get to block a lot of your incoming damage. Here are some little bit less known knockups, and then I'll go to a little bit more into the thing to help out your ultimate. There is the Jarvan flag and drag. I mean swag flag. That was a different one. There's another. There's a dash and flash. That was cool. I'll get to that when I go on Graves. Dash and flash. But the swag flag, if you use your flag and then if they jump to it, if there are enemies in between the flag it will knock them up. So you got to be ready for it. There are a bunch of them that you have to be. They're really quick, but they are knockups or displacements that happen really quick. So you have to be ready. Be ready to use it. The second one is Diana. Diana's little pull together will displace them or knock them up. So that little action right there will help you ult. That was a fun one. Ziggs, the one that helps him jump, will also get champions to jump a little bit. So it will knock him up. And Rek'Sai, untunneling, that one's probably a little bit more obvious. But there are other ones that that people don't really know, like Gragas jumping into him instead of it. I mean, yeah, his ultimate does it, but his little slam will do it. And there's other ones that are like really quick, but if you use it properly, I think there's one with Trundle. If you use your ice pillar, like the split second it hits somebody and it knocks them over, it will actually get a knockup. So you got to be ready for it. You got to know these little knockups, be ready for them. With all that said, you got to be ready, and there are plenty of other ones other than the traditional like Malphite, Orianna. There are some other ones without them that are very less obvious. But how to build a team comp around Yasuo, and I think that's what Yasuo is a very team-fighting, team-oriented champion. I don't think he can single-handedly carry a game. And a lot of people hate me, will disagree with me. I'll get a lot of hate comments in the comments, but I will explain myself. Please don't hate until you hear my reasoning. First off is his ultimate. He doesn't get to use his ultimate unless he gets a knockup. And a lot of times if you're in a team fight, if he gets it, he's in range for people just to blow him up, and a lot of people will blow him up. So that's why maybe a tankier Yasuo would be better if you're going by yourself, a little bit more solo queue, because you're going to instantly be the first person people will try to kill, and you don't want to die right away. So that's why you may just die if you are. I mean, that's why I'd say his ultimate is very. If you don't have a team and you're by yourself and you're not talking to them, you will lose team fights. He can't single-handedly use his ultimate, which is pretty much his biggest, like a really big power spike in him. Anytime he ults, he does get a lot stronger, especially against tankier champions. Another reason why is because he can't really split push. Yes, he can split push. He can take towers a little bit pretty quick. But he has no getting away. His way of getting his dash is through enemies. So if he doesn't have enemies to dash through, and they're gonna be right under the tower, under the turret and stuff like that. So he won't be able to escape the dash. He won't be able to do it. He will have to get away. I mean, he has very less getting away, and I mean that's why kind of you need to stick with your team with Yasuo. He won't be able to dash away. So that's why he can't single-handedly just go and push up a lane, because if a full team goes after him, he's dead. And I mean, you think that about a lot of champions, but people like Tristana can do it easily, or because he can run away. Twitch can go invisible. You know, he can just. I mean, there's a lot of champions that can dash away, but Yasuo can't do it. He just can't single-handedly just win the game for his team. And I think a lot of people don't like me saying that, but I believe it's totally true. If his team's doing well, he will do extremely well. If he has really organization with his team and knows when to go in, like, oh, the Malphite, or like if you're on Skype with your friends and the Malphite goes in and ults, your full team knows to run in. I mean, that's another thing is a lot of times Yasuo will want to go in. If, oh, there's a full team knock up. Oh, I got the full team. I want to go in. But if your team doesn't go in with you, that knock up was pointless. You just instantly die. You don't get anything out of it. Unlike if you had a team with you, you could easily go in. So you have to... I find very team-oriented. I don't think he can single-handedly. I don't think he's a very good... I mean, he's a decent solo queue, but I would say if you don't have any knockups on your team, you will have a tough game. I mean, maybe not in lane, but you will have a tough game later in the game in team fights and other stuff like that. The other thing I would have to say, I mean, what else? I mean, yeah, since he has no area of effect damage, or a lot of area of effect damage, so he does not kill multiple enemies quickly by himself. I mean, yeah, he can 3-shot people, but like if the enemy team instantly just bursts him down, he gets about 2.5, which is a very good ability, but if your team is very far behind, your team will not be able to go in on that and win the team fight. So if his team's doing well, Yasuo's doing well. If his team's doing poorly, he may be doing poorly. That gives you a second thing. If you're doing poorly in lane with Yasuo, doesn't mean you lost the game, because if you have a good team, if your team's really strong, and later in the team fight, you will be able to get knock up and get a couple easy kills to get you back into the game. So Yasuo is more, I say, a lot of him is better in the team fighting stage instead of him being as a solo champion. What's another good thing to say? What was I going to talk about? There was another thing. I mean, these clips are beautiful. Oh, dashing, running, chasing. If you're with him, you want them running in the lane. If you're going against a Yasuo, remember, don't run in lane. He's like the opposite of of Rengar. Rengar wants you to run into the jungle, because then he can jump to you. But Yasuo would rather you go in through the lane, because he can just dash through minions to catch up. And you will see in my final clip that I caught up. You ain't gonna get away from me. Yeah, so that's one cool thing, and you need to remember is he can dash through the minions, so his chasing ability in lane is pretty insane. He's a very good tower diver, because in a few of these clips I tower dive a lot, because if you get the kill real quick and you have able to take 2 turret shots, you can easily dash to another minion to get out of range so that you will not instantly die. So very helpful to know, and this Fizz was very toxic after this. He got really mad, which was kind of funny. But see, look, I got to easily dash away, no problem. And I do it a couple times. But like dashing away, getting the free kills, pretty easy to do. Other than that, I mean, I'm pretty sure that's pretty much my full guide. I hope you enjoy this build. If you have any comments, please leave them below. I will try to answer any questions you may have. I will try to also, if you have a champion you'd want me to do, I will do it. But the friend that wanted me to do this one wanted me to also do a Riven video. If you want me to do another champion, I may just do it because I did his video right here. But if now you get no quick comments, I may just start on Riven, or my third or my second. I may do it right afterwards. Is an Udyr build. So so please tell me. This is the little clip, but I also started up a Twitter, so I'm gonna leave it in the description. Please follow me. And then this has been vKlifto. I'm signing off. Stay cool, my friends.